Do you want to find new strategy games but find it way too overwhelming? Almost like a demon grabbing you and holding you down. Well, don't worry, because I'm here to save you. And we're going to start a brand new segment of monthly strategy game releases. So in this video, you can check out strategy games that came out in October 2022. Time Melters. I can't say the name of this game. Time Melters came out into early access on 12th of October 2022. And this is a game with witches and time travel. So you're going to have different abilities. You can, for example, summon a new spirit or person. You can infuse spirit into existing objects. For example, you can have trees that start moving around and grabbing enemies and throwing them around, which is super cool. You can time travel, so you will have multiple characters of yourself running around, which is very, very cool. My favorite thing about this game is the animation when you die. I mean, it's just so fun because the enemy just jumps on top of you and you get to see the enemy from up close, and it's just incredible. I love that so much. And now, if you're looking at this, you might be thinking, oh, this is an RPG. The game explicitly points out that it's not an RPG. Instead, it's a strategy and adventure game, but it has some element, especially the viewpoint from the third person, the way you kind of move around can feel RPG-like, but it also has a good storyline and a skill tree, but it is not an RPG. Do not let that fool you. Reefland. Reefland is a relaxing city building simulator. You're going to be given different tiles that you're going to be placing on the land, and you will get a certain amount of points depending on the adjacency to other tiles. And once you reach a certain point milestone, you will get a new set of tiles. And you want to continue this until you get enough points that you can move to the next island, or until you can't place any more tiles. The game came out into early access on 17th of October 2022. Indoor Lands. Indoor Lands came out into full release on 14 October 2022. This is essentially a park management builder or like a roller coaster builder, but it's indoors. You're going to be building different kind of parks inside. And you can create your different rides and coasters from scratch, and you can do this. There's a lot of different decorations that you can put in around your coaster. Now, the cool thing in this game is that if you build like predetermined rides, you can adjust how they move. So, for example, if it's some sort of like a wheel mechanism that the ride is turning around, you can typically sort of adjust it and choose like how quickly it moves or how high it lifts the different seats and etc. So that makes it pretty interesting. And of course, you have to manage your profit and visitors' needs and etc. Everything you would expect from, like a tycoon game. The Shadow Government Simulator. This is a turn-based strategy game. We're going to be trying to lead a secret society towards controlling the world, essentially. And you will control certain characters, and you can move them around, and you will try to convince other people to join your faction. So you can try to threaten them, you can try to pay them off, you can try to gain some money through fundraising, and you will just try to get the control of everybody. Relapse. Relapse is a deck building roguelike game with some pretty cool companions. For example, you can have a snail that has thorns, which I think is pretty funny. The game also has multiple decks. So the way this works is that at the end of each combat, as in a standard deck builder, you typically gain a card. So here the way this works is that you will gain experience in a certain deck, and then in that deck of cards you can pick a card from that deck of cards. And you could also have different stats which will affect the damage, for example, you do from the different deck of cards. There's also like some permanent effects, so like trinkets which give you permanent effects, the standard deck builder stuff. There's also equipment, but the equipment does not actually do anything. It's just cosmetics, so you can see your character move it around. But the thing I really like about this game is the intro, because the intro is essentially showing off what would happen if you lived a roguelike deck builder, because you would keep dying over and over again and reliving the same thing, which I think is super fun. The game came out into full release on 12 October 2022. Project Wunderwaffe came out into full release on October 10th, 2022. And it's a base builder that will move you to the end of World War II, and you're going to be trying to create like the ultimate weapon. So you will be building underground, and you will be trying to gain different like weapons and resources that you can then send to the front, to the war, to help out your people. And the goal is to sort of research the ultimate weapon that will help you turn the tide of war. Europe Empire 2027. Europe Empire 2027 is a war game set in Europe in the year 2027, as the name suggests, and you will take control of one of the countries, and then you will try to take over the world. There will be obviously diplomacy, but there will also be a lot of different research, so you can focus on researching different type of units, and then you will obviously be sending your armies out to attack and to take over the enemy as quickly as you can. So you will also have to be handling different kind of rebels as you take over a country. People are obviously not happy, so you'll have to crush any resistance that you might meet. And the game has released into full release on the 8th of October 2022. Open the Gates is a game that came out into full release on 17th of October 2022. And this is a side view RTS. You're going to be building your castle, and you're going to be sending out your armies to destroy enemy castles. And you're going to be building and managing houses, hospitals, trying to keep your citizens happy, lumber camps, quarries, all sort of to get important resources. And then finally, you're going to gain your different types of units, so archers, soldiers, and more. You're also going to have to manage your castle, so you might need to even hire falconers to get rid of rats, or place guard posts to catch criminals and things like that. You have to handle diseases with the hospitals and etc. Also, the buildings have some sort of multi-level elements, so you can have your soldiers stand on like towers, or sometimes even on top of a barracks or different buildings, and you can even use siege weapons eventually and things like that. Sigil of the Magi. This game came out into early access on the 20th of October 2022, and it's a game that combines roguelike deck building with a turn-based tactical combat. So as opposed to typical deck builders, you will place your characters on a map, and you will be moving them around. There will be cover, and you will have to handle positioning. Also, each card has its owner, so you can only place this card on that specific owner. So you might end up in a situation where a certain character will not play any card at all because you've used your mana for other character. The game also has a very interesting mechanic of saving cards. Essentially, you can spend the card cost to save it for future turns, and it will stay there until you need to use it. So if a specific turn, for example, first turn you can't attack because everybody's too far away, you can save up these cards for future turns. This can make for some really, really powerful and interesting combos. Right and up down. This game is so interesting. This is a game where you only have two choices. You can only go right or you can go down. You don't choose how big your attack is, you don't defend, you only choose the direction. And upon hearing this, you might think, that doesn't seem all that exciting, but it's actually a really, really fun game. So you're playing on this sort of like a tile-ish board, so to speak, and you choose whether you want to move to the right or you want to move to down. And every time you step on the enemy, you automatically kill them, but you take whatever damage they deal to you. And if you hurt them, then they deal less damage to you. And also, if you do certain move combinations, you might be able to activate special abilities. Next up, we have Horror Tycoon. Horror Tycoon is a game where you build your very own haunted house. And as the guests move through it, you will scare them enough that they will die. And as they die, they will give you their soul and also increase your reputation. And then you'll also eventually unlock new attractions. My favorite thing about this game is that you can walk through it yourself. So you can see the attractions you made. And sometimes it can be quite scary. Now, before we jump to the last game on my list, a couple things I want to say. First of all, this is not an exhaustive list of all strategy games that came out in October, because that would be a really, really long video. So this is just a list of the games that I found interesting or games that I've played on this channel and etc. Typically, the videos you'll see will be from my gameplays of these games, so some of them might be slightly outdated, or if I played a demo of the game, then the gameplay will be of the demo and obviously not of the full release, just so you know that. Cosmoteer, Starship Architect and Commander, and came out into early access on 24th of October. Now this is a game where you will design and simulate your very own starship. And you can pick out the different weapons you want to place there, and then you're going to be fighting in combat with other starships. You can also have your own fleet, so you can have multiple smaller ships, or you can have one huge ship, so you're going to have to fight handling different enemies, and they might be in multiple ships, and it's a really interesting game. And sometimes your ship can like split into different pieces, and you have to manage your crew, and it's just a really interesting game. And it can also be played in multiplayer, though I have only played the single player version. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this list, and let me know in the comments what is your favorite strategy game that released in October 2022, and let me know if you like this new segment as well.